there?
Yes, right. Speak right into the mic. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening to the chair and board members. I'm going to skip my whole first paragraph. You can read it in spite of time, which is introducing myself. One principle we have a problem with in Prince George's County School is equality. You know the statement that all men are created equally, meaning boys, girls, black, white, rich or poor, disabled, mental illness, gay or confused, have been fraught and adversely misinterpreted and just right out denial. I'm concerned that we have some elected and appointed members amongst this board that is delaying the law that has been passed since President Lincoln freed the slaves. Yet the heirs, the grandchildren are not truly being freed, still being treated with the bonds of injustice, social and economic oppression right here in Prince George's County Public Schools. Is it really the land of the free except for the poor and low income? Equality of opportunity means that all members of society are given equal chance to enter any occupation of social class. It does not mean everyone who have equality income and equality status. Rather, all have equal chance to compete for any place in society. Free public education is a fundamental right that each child be given equal opportunity to receive sustainable programs of educational experience in suitable schools with suitable technologies with suitable teachers. The Constitution requires that all kids be given equal education opportunity no matter what their race, ethnic background, religion, or sex, or whether they are rich or poor, citizens or non. In saying this, my citizens in the 25th District is tired of the lack of equality in our schools and our school environments, from the poor maintenance, the poor looking of our schools, from the poor air quality, the poor water quality, the poor and proper teachers and administration. Yet I hear about the many bad decisions being made by the school board, like College Park Academy for professors or wealthy kids. Hell no, not under my watch. This is not representing the needs of the citizens that I represent or you represent. Stop falling for the persuasion of the backroom decisions and deals being made that is having a negative impact on the low-income communities, and the unconstitutionally is pushing the wealth-building mechanism for some of the hidden plans and the hidden agenda of the wealthy people. As a child, that my mom raised 5 of us as a single mom in the school system while living in Kentland. 3 of us graduated from Northwestern High School and all have college degrees. We were given proper training. From school, I learned to be accounting. From school, I learned marketing. From high school, I learned my communication skill. Well, I retired from Verizon with 30 years. Yes, I went to college, but that was only to fine-tune what I learned in school. My sisters and brothers are doing fine, but I was given a fair and equal opportunity. As I reminded each of you that you are elected to serve the citizens of this great county, and you need to do that. In closing, my last word would be, if we would only realize that investing in our children is investing in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Queen Howard. Our next speaker is Lynetta Stevens-Wright, a parent on Tyack Elementary School. Is Ms. Stevens-Wright here? Stevens-Wright, okay. Our next speaker is Bill Mancio, I believe, Townhouse Association of Greenwood Village on cell towers.
Good evening. My name is Bill Manico, and I'm a resident of Greenwood Village in Greenbelt. First of all, I would like to thank those of you that supported our efforts to stop the cell tower at Eleanor Roosevelt High School, including Mr. Burrows, Ms. Ahmed, and particularly Ms. Quinteros Grady for coming out against the tower this week and for urging Dr. Maxwell to do the same. I would also like to thank Dr. Maxwell for taking that message to Milestone, which then withdrew its proposal. Since the board signed the contract with Milestone in 2011, there has been a growing body of evidence that these towers are harmful to health, and I have forwarded to you a copy of documents and links to articles on the subject from very credible body of scientific experts. They document unusually high cancer rates and other adverse medical problems among residents in the immediate vicinity of these towers. I think the county also needs to do a study on the amount of tax revenues that would be lost from depreciating home values as a result of cell towers. Independent studies have estimated an average loss of 15% for homes in the vicinity of these ugly, buzzing eyesores. As just one example, Eleanor Roosevelt High School is encircled by over 1,000 townhomes and condominiums with an average worth of around $200,000. The average annual yield to the county education budget from a tower is around $12,000 a year. Do the math. This is a net loss, not a net gain for the county, fiscally speaking. Dr. Maxwell himself is quoted in the Washington Post as saying that cell towers are not a huge financial benefit to the school system. Be on the right side of history and the first county in the area to reject cell towers on school grounds. People will actually move here to send their kids to our schools knowing that they will be safe from harmful radiation. Instead of depreciating home values, you will have appreciating home values. The late Jack LaLanne was fond of saying, "Your health is your wealth." Well, that applies to our kids as well. Don't squander their health or our wealth with more cell towers on school grounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Malika Scott. I hope I'm not butchering that name too bad. Talking parent on Montessori expansion. Is Ms. Scott here? All right, Ms. Scott is not here. Let's go to Nicole Powell-Farrell, Eleanor Roosevelt staff on cell towers.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Powell-Farrell, and I am a member of the administrative team at Eleanor Roosevelt High School. I've been working in the county at Roosevelt for the last 11 years, and I'm also a graduate of Eleanor Roosevelt High School and a lifelong resident of the county. On behalf of the Roosevelt community, I want to thank Dr. Maxwell and board members Ahmed and Grady for your attention and response to our community and staff's concerns regarding the proposed cell tower on Roosevelt's campus. Although this specific concern, which weighed heavy on the minds and hearts of the Roosevelt community, has been resolved, I decided to hold on to my commitment to come and speak tonight because there is an even greater concern regarding surrounding the cell phone towers that must be addressed. Both Dr. Maxwell and Board Member Grady made very clear in recent statements that Milestone has not met our county's desired standards of transparency, communication, and community engagement. Since this has been recognized by county leadership, my hope is that Dr. Maxwell and the board will consider a full termination of the contract currently in place with Milestone Communications. They have already provided a great deal of evidence surrounding their unethical business practices, and our district deserves better than to do business with such an organization. More importantly, there is a significant body of research available that speaks to the potential detrimental health effects that come along with the building of such towers. The radiation that is emitted from these towers is extremely hazardous to the health of those who work and live in a close proximity. The safety, health, and wellness of our students, employees, and families should be an utmost priority for county leadership, and allowing cell towers to be built on any PGCPS campus is contradictory to that. Please consider a full termination of the contract with Milestone Communications. And moving forward, I ask that PGCPS leadership please refrain from committing to deals that compromise the health and wellness of those you serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shirley Kirkland, president of Local 2250, to speak about the budget. Oh, Ms. Kirkland's not here? All right. Our next speaker is Christopher Langston, Fairmont Heights high school alumnus, to speak about Fairmont Heights' future plans. Is Mr. Langston here? Okay. How about Dasan Bobo, parents, to talk about cell phones?
Hi, good evening. My name is Dasan Bobo. I'm a graduate of Eleanor Roosevelt High School, as well as University of Maryland College Park and University of Maryland University College. School board members, thank you for your work on the PG County School Board, especially our school board member, Lupe Grady, and thank you for addressing some of the problems with Milestone Communications proposal at Eleanor Roosevelt High School and Echo Creek Academy. For 22 years, I've lived with my family about 150 feet from where Milestone proposed to build an invasive 105-foot industrial tower 4 times the height of my home, with the cell phone antennas that would emit radio frequency pollution at an important area of our community, our high school. This is comparable to an industrial building that emits harmful pollutants. At such a close distance, my family and many other families around me would have received an alarming amount of electromagnetic field radiation, a pollutant that would not only heat our bodies like a microwave oven while we were in our homes, as the Milestone engineer mentioned at the meeting in April, but potentially cause irreparable damage to us, our children, and our community. At the high school nearby, this industrial cell tower would expose more than 2,000 students that spend their days learning to carcinogens that cause cancer. This lack of concern and disregard for our community is unacceptable at least and criminal at most. With rising cancer rates and issues with home foreclosures in PG County, we need to be much more responsible for the regulation and placement of polluting industries like cell phone towers. Responsible placement means there should not be any cell towers or any other industry polluting facilities at or near our schools and our homes. Milestone Communication representatives don't live near cell towers, nor do they have cell towers at their children's schools, and neither should we. I call for the cancellation of this contract that has no place in our community and education system. Thanks again for the actions you have taken thus far, but I want to challenge you to go further and reanalyze the need for this no-bid contract with Milestone Communications and ultimately cancel it for the betterment of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those comments. Our next speaker is Glenn Brown. Is Glenn Brown here to speak about school governance? Come on up, Mr. Brown.
I'd like to say good evening to everybody, and thanks for the opportunity for the school board to allow me to talk. I'll be very brief. I'm here to express my displeasure with the CEO and the school board for the past 4 years. And then I have a lot more material, but I won't present it tonight. I'll be very brief. And as a concerned citizen of Prince George's County, the school system is not functioning for the best interest and safety for the students in the county. They respond to events as they happen. That's not acceptable. Crisis management is not acceptable when you're talking about over 100,000 kids. Therefore, I'm requesting the CEO to submit his resignation to the county executive by May 31st, 2017. And I will just cite a few recent incidents within the last week or two. School board member called a parent group silly. This particular parent group a couple of days ago had over 900 signatures on a petition, and the school board member called it silly. So we want to elaborate on why they called it silly or what the meeting was about. Furthermore, the one that has already been discussed was the mishandling of the crisis at District Heights Elementary School. This was something the parents have been complaining about for years. We're not talking about something here a day or two ago. And the only reason the school board responded to that was like all the other responses when Channel 5 or Channel 7 News get involved. You totally ignored the parents who have been complaining for years about these different events. High levels of lead in water, okay? And then the last thing I'll comment on for the moment, now I'm being told by the media that it's 933 teachers and approximately 126 bus drivers on paid leave, and also we're paying money for subs who are sitting in these classrooms, and also the kids in these classrooms were uncertified teachers for long lengths of time. And that right there is a total outrage, especially in classes like English, science, and math. And you got all of these teachers in Toddy Hall or whatever you want to call it. And finally, a full report of all these failures we published on June 1st, 2017. Action plans for the community to take back our school systems. Also, we'll have solutions to the ongoing problems. And also, we don't want to get this misunderstood. We appreciate the CEO's endeavor and his work the past 4 years. We're not indicting him or anything. It's just that it's time for a new management. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your comments. Our next speaker is Phyllis Wright, parent on District Heights.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Phyllis Wright. I'm a concerned parent of 2 children at District Heights Elementary School. The mold is still there. Everything else is still there. The paint that you all patched up, it's no good. To make the school look better, it's no good. We need to solve the solution. You have 40% of your teachers that's out. You have over 200 children that's sick. My children are sick. Other children are sick. You all sit up here and you make the decisions for us, and nothing get done. Dr. Fawcett over here, come in there, throw paint on the walls. There's still mold on the pipes in the building. Kids are still breathing this unhealthy air. When will it stop? When will you people do something? I'm a mother. I'm talking to you as a parent. When will you do something to help us over there at District Heights Elementary School? How many times do I have to come here? I'm sick. I'm sick, and I'm sick and tired. I have 2 children. They 6 and 7. Now, and I just found out that they are sick too. But you tell me, you said, you fixed the problem. When I cried the last time, Dr. Maxwell, you did not come to me. But when those people from College Park came and didn't get the 7 votes, you jumped out of your seat and you ran behind them and you disrespected me as a mother and as a woman. So I think my children deserve an education where they can go, where they can be safe and don't have to worry about their health. District Heights needs to be closed. You can't go in there and throw paint and think you can put wax on the floor. Look at those pipes. I have pictures here. I have pictures where the lead is on the pipes and still in the school. And Dr. Fawcett knows he didn't finish, and you all know he didn't finish either. So you need to do something because all you're doing is killing our babies. You're killing our babies. You need to stop. You all need to stop. You all, I'm a mother. What about you all? Is any of you all mothers in here or fathers? Do you feel my pain and frustration? Do you feel me? Do any one of y'all in here feel what I'm going through? Do any one of y'all feel what I'm going through? I'm a parent. Would you want your kids to be, my kids are taking antibiotics right now, breathing treatment, because they've been in this school for 3 years. 3 years. Somebody help us. Won't you help us black kids? Help us. You need to help us. All of you want. If you don't want to do the job, let somebody do it that's going to help us. Because y'all ain't doing it. You all ain't doing it. You sit up there, you paint here, you do this. Solve the problem. Help us over there. Go in that building and stay in that seat for a week and see, don't you get sick too. See, don't you get sick. I'm tired. Tired of these people won't do nothing. Sit up there and look. Can't even answer a question.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Thank you, Ms. Wright. Our next speaker is Theodora Scarrato.
So mold and cell towers are not the only toxic emergency in the school that needs immediate attention. The water in Prince George's County schools has unsafe levels of lead. I've been talking about this now for over a year. But I'd like to give you some history. This is the list of hundreds of water fountains that have lead levels from 20 to 10,215 parts per billion. That's 10,215 parts per billion of lead in the water, and parents were not informed According to this letter that I was sent, I have done so many public information requests, so many letters at this point. Now, supposedly, these fountains have been turned off, but there are dozens and dozens of water fountains and sources that are still on that have unsafe levels of lead in them. And that is documented in the hundreds of pages of lead test reports that I got through a Public Information Act. The information being told to parents and staff is not only misleading, but it's false, as I documented and sent to you in my most recent letter. The water is not safe. Lead poisons the brain, and this is an emergency. Again, dozens of water sources are on, which have lead levels that would not be allowed in DC public schools. DC public schools has a lead limit of 1 parts per billion. We are using a lead limit of 20, but we last tested 7 years ago. So, and now I've been told that for new construction, it's going to be a lead limit of 10. That would be 10 times what Washington, D.C. public school uses. And it seems to me the only reason that now there's a plan is because of the reporter that interviewed the county. So I did a blog called leadinpgcpswater.blogspot.com. That's leadinpgcpswater.blogspot.com, where I have put all of these documents so that the public can be aware of what's going on. I'd like to also point out, in addition to what Ms. Wright was discussing, that there were high levels of carbon dioxide found in District Heights, which was not told to the parents, and I would be extremely curious to know what the carbon dioxide levels are in many of the schools. There was a Harvard study that's just out, also backed up by a Berkeley study, that found carbon dioxide levels have a negative impact on decision making. They refer to it as a pollutant on its own. So I think that testing should be done for all the schools on that as well. And again, to add in, you know me here talking about cell towers for years. I also created a website and a blog. You can go to safeschoolspg.org. That's safeschoolspg.org to see all the documents about the Milestone, Prince George's County public school cell phone deal that have been withheld from the public. So I ask for transparency moving forward. Thank you.
Next speaker is Teresa Dudley, PGCEA President, to speak about the budget.
Thank you. Happy Teacher Appreciation Day. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. The problem is teachers in Prince George's County are not feeling very appreciated right now. The sad thing is that this past week we were very disappointed to hear at the County Council Health and Human Services Committee that to address the budget cuts proposed by County Executive Baker, that there was a presentation to reconcile the budget by significantly cutting areas that will affect student achievement and the ability to retain and support quality educators and improve instruction. After taking time to review the cuts by the county executive and the proposed reconciliation proposed by Dr. Maxwell to the county council, PGCA is formally requesting that you, members of the Board of Education, really take a look at this, because this reconciliation is going to come back to you. And so the things that we have been working on for the past year and a half, including the reserve for negotiations to assist those educators that are off step, the expansion of mentor teachers so that we have 3 additional mentors and 4 additional PAR consulting teachers to help our new teachers who are struggling in the classroom. We don't have enough mentors for our new teachers. The National Board Certification Teacher Stipend was also left on the table. Also, we heard from the GR young lady today. I don't know where she went. Very nice, pretty lady. But that restorative practices and restorative justice is important. We must teach our children the harm that comes from their actions. We have so many students that are suspended for insubordination and disrespect. And we all know that the higher the suspension rate, the lower the graduation rate. We also were concerned about the Healthy Start Breakfast program being cut, and we were concerned about the cultural competency training as recommended by the Student Task Force was left on the table on Monday morning. These items make us not feel appreciated. You saw the Washington Post article. Teachers, the morale is low. When teachers can leave here and go to a surrounding jurisdiction where they don't fear for their job for an accusation that is not true, we're at the bargaining table right now, at an interest-based bargaining table. We have a high level of sophistication in Prince George's County where the school system and the unions sit down at the table and have conversations about it. These cuts significantly will affect our ability to negotiate at the table. So I ask you to think about this as we move forward. Will you have the courage to stand up for these things that are in the budget? Last year, we got to the reconciliation time, and you guys were going back and forth about ILTs. I'm not talking about ILTs. I'm talking about IOUs that our children are here to cash in on because they deserve to be treated with respect, to be taught how to be whole and know their harm, and to have culturally competent, quality educators in front of them who are compensated fairly.
Thank you.
So I will leave these
Thank you.
comments with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dudley. Our next speaker is Jacqueline Taylor, parent on cell phone towers. Ms. Taylor here. Are any of the registered speakers who, did anyone come in who is registered since we started? Okay, thank you, citizens, for sharing your comments with us today. We listen intently, and we will continue to do what we can to serve this great county and the students we all love. And at that, I'll move on to the next agenda item. We are on to the consent agenda, and I'll yield the floor to Dr. Maxwell for an introduction of item 5.1 under the consent agenda.